Hey guys, in this video we're going to be learning how to draw our baby elephant and the Toronto skyline. So stay tuned and make sure you've got your pencil, eraser, 2 pieces of paper, and your favorite coloring tools, and let's draw. Alright, so today we're going to start with our Toronto skyline drawing. So I'm going to pull this original one down here so that my blank piece of paper is underneath. And we're going to get started. Actually, before we do that, I just want you to know I'm using a marker so that you can see what I'm doing really well on camera. But I would strongly suggest you guys use a pencil and eraser so that if you want to make changes as you go along, you can do that. All right, so let's get going. So we're gonna start with our water line. So basically I want my water to start right about here. So it's approximately about a quarter of the way up my paper. And all I'm gonna do is create a straight line all the way across. If you wanna use a ruler so that it's perfectly straight, or another piece of paper even to create a nice straight edge, you can do that. Or you can just freehand it. So everything below that line is water and everything above that line is going to be land. So we've got buildings, we're gonna have some sky up there. So we're gonna start out with kind of the centerpiece of the drawing, which is the CN Tower. So that's gonna go right in this area here approximately. So not quite in the center, it's just on the right side. And I'm going to start with the elevator actually. So right in the center of my tower, I'm going to come about this high up and I'm going to create 2 lines. Down to my water. So that's going to be the elevator, which is going to be the exact center of my tower. And I don't know if you can see this, but they're a little closer together at the top and just a tiny little bit wider at the bottom. If yours are perfectly straight though, that's okay. And then on either side of that, I'm going to create a slightly slanted line. So it's going to look like this on one side and then the same thing on the other side. So that's the base of our tower. And then sitting right up on top of that, there's this area of the tower that, I don't even know, have you guys been to the CN Tower? There's a restaurant in there. There's a spot where you can go and you can look out. You can actually climb around the outside edge of the CN Tower now. So we're gonna put that section on next. So what I want you to do is make one line straight across the top of those vertical lines that we drew earlier. And it does have a slight curve to it. It's not perfectly straight. And then for the sides, I'm going to make 2, again, kind of rounded lines. So they're a little bit curved like this, like 2 brackets. And then we'll close it off with another just slightly rounded line. So it's not really a rectangle, it's not really an oval, it's kind of something in between. And then right in the middle of that section, we're going to do 3 lines. Again, they're going to have a little bit of a curve to them, kind of like a little bit of a smile. So 1, 2, and 3. And then right up on top of our tower, we're just going to continue 2 more lines that again are going to get a little closer together as they reach the top of your paper. But they're just going to kind of continue because that tower probably wouldn't end until about up here on your if you had the room. It's a really tall tower. All right, so beside the CN Tower, we've got the Rogers Center, which used to be called the Sky Dome. So if I say Sky Dome, that's why. That's still what my brain wants to call it. So we're gonna make this big arch. And this is where the Blue Jays play baseball. There's concerts there all the time. And inside this arch, we're gonna make just a slightly smaller arch. Perfect, so we've got our two kind of main buildings put in our drawing now. Now we're just gonna draw a whole bunch of apartment buildings and big banks and other big buildings. Toronto has so many really tall skyscrapers. So we're gonna put some tall buildings, some short buildings, some skinny buildings, some wide buildings, and we're even gonna make some of these 3D. So we're gonna start throwing those in next. I'm gonna start with a short one, kind of right in this area here. So I'm just gonna start with a box. Just like that, little square or rectangle. And I want it to look like I'm sort of looking at the corner of this building, not necessarily straight on. And that's gonna give it a more 3D effect. So to do that, on each of these top corners, I want to make a little tiny slanted line. So it's going to go up and to the right and up and to the right. The same size, both of those lines. And then I'm going to join those together at the top. So I'm going to make another straight line right across. There's your roof. And then another line coming down. So instead of just having a square, now we have more of a cube. So again, like you said, it's 3D. So in behind this building now, I want to make two more really big buildings. And if I draw them in behind, that's going to create more depth in our drawing so that everything doesn't look like it's just flat. So right in behind this one, I'm going to start from here and I'm going to come straight up. You want to make sure that all of these buildings are shorter than your tower. They shouldn't be any taller than that tower. And I'm going to come across right off the side of the paper here. And then I'm going to make one more in behind that's a little shorter. So I'm going to have it come across here and come down. And we're gonna decorate those a little bit, add some windows and all of that a little bit later on, but first we're gonna add some buildings over on this side. So again, I'm gonna start with kind of a smaller building that's gonna be a little bit in behind our dome here. So it's gonna come straight up. I'm gonna make this one skinny. And across the top. So I've got this tall rectangle. I think I want to make this one 3D as well, only I'm going to make it go the opposite way. So instead of doing curved lines up to the right, I'm going to do two little curved lines up and to the left. And then we're going to join those together at the top to create our roof. And then from this corner, I'm going to come straight down to create the side of the building. So we've got another 3D building there. The ones that aren't 3D, basically, if you just imagine Those ones you're looking at them straight on, right at the front, so we don't see the sides or the roof. All right, let's do another small one right in here. Another little box. And then I'm gonna just have a little piece of a building kind of showing off this edge. So I'm gonna bring that up and over. My lines are not very straight today, but that's okay. Like I said, if you want really straight lines, you can use a ruler, but you don't have to. And then right in between these two buildings, sort of peeking out from in behind, I'm gonna do a really big, tall building, and I'm gonna make this one 3D as well. So we're gonna start with just the front, just the rectangle. So I'm gonna come up from the roof here. And then over here, I'm gonna come up maybe right here. Make sure those are at the same height so that when we join them and make our roof, it's hopefully nice and flat. And I'm going to angle this building the same way as this one here. So again, from those top two corners, I'm going to make a line up and to the left. And it doesn't matter how large you make these. They can be small, they can be a little bit larger, as long as they are the same length on both sides. And I'm going to join those up again for that roof. And come straight down that side. Perfect, so we've got lots of depth now. We've got all of our buildings in. Let's add some windows and a little bit of and doors and maybe some signs and that kind of thing onto your buildings. Now yours do not have to look like mine at all. You can change this however you want. But I'm gonna imagine that this big building here, I'm gonna start with this one, is some kind of a big office building, and it's gonna have a sign up top. So I'm just gonna make this big sign. That sign's gonna be lit up and it's gonna reflect in my water later on when I color it in. And under that sign, I'm gonna create like a bunch of rows of windows. So I'm just gonna make squares. All the way across, so I kind of go 3 across. That one's a little bit hidden. And I'm going to leave a little room at the bottom to put a door. So I've got my door, I've got all my windows and my sign. And I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep kind of adding windows, doors, signs, different things to my building so that they're a little bit more interesting to look at. So down here, I'm going to put another sign, nice big long rectangle. And this time I might just do 2 windows and a door. And then over here on this building, I'm just going to throw in some windows. So I'm just going to make one sort of skinny row of rectangles right down the middle. 3 of those, and then a bigger square for a door. I'm not going to do anything on this building since I'm only really seeing a little tiny bit of it. But over here again, I'm going to put a sign across the top. maybe 4 little windows. And a door. And maybe you want to put windows on the sides of your buildings, which you definitely can, but you want to make sure that they are angled. So the same angle that this line follows, your window, I'll stick one in over here, your window would actually have that same angle. So it wouldn't be totally straight, it would be a crooked square. All right, back over here again. So for this building here, I'm gonna do like big long rows of windows just to change it up. So I'm gonna make these big rectangles. And then I'm just gonna put lines going across these, or coming down, sorry, to kind of split up each window. And in my final building, I'm gonna make this another office. So I'm gonna put a sign at the top. And then for these windows, instead of making like the full square, I'm just gonna make an L. If you prefer the full square, you can do that. It's just a different way of making windows. All right, that does it for all of the buildings. So let's come up into our sky and just kind of finish that off. Now again, if you want to change this, I made mine a nighttime picture, but if you want it to be more of a daytime picture or a sunset picture, you can color your sky differently, and you could put a sun or a moon or neither in your sky. So I went with nighttime for this one, just because I hadn't done that yet. So I put a crescent moon just up here, nice and big, right beside the CN Tower. And then I just put a few little stars here and there. Some bigger ones, some smaller ones, all different sizes. And as many as you want. You can always go in and add some more afterwards. Put one more up there. Perfect, so we have our night sky ready to go. And the very last thing on this drawing is we want to put like a reflection in the water here, especially if you have a nighttime view. But even if it's daytime, there's still going to be some reflection in that water. So these buildings are all going to be reflected. So I'm not going to worry about making these lines perfect because the water moves, right? There's going to be ripples and that kind of thing happening in the water. So I'm purposely going to make my lines wavy, and that's going to actually show the movement in the water and show that rippling effect. So I'm going to start with my CN Tower, and I'm just kind of drawing a mirror image. And if you prefer, you can flip your paper upside down. I'm just going to leave mine like this. But I'm going to draw a mirror image. So I want to kind of have this wavy line instead of straight coming in. So that gets a little narrower, the same way your tower gets a little narrower. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the dome here. I'm going to make kind of this wavy kind of a curved line there. You don't have to worry about reflecting all the details in. I just sort of did that when I colored. And then all of these buildings, we want to put a reflection for those too. So I'm going to start with the ones in front. So this little guy here. Create this wavy line. And then I'm going to do this big tall one here, wavy line right off the paper. And then another wavy line over to that one. So I'm just kind of reflecting, doing a mirror image of what's up here, only in swiggly, curvy lines instead of perfectly straight lines. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing. All of these wavy lines. And this one I'm going to bring right off the page because it's a little bit taller. All right. That's it. That drawing is completely finished, other than color, which really does bring it to life. Oh, unless you want to throw in a few little lines to, again, show movement of water. But we can kind of just do some very light wavy lines again, kind of just going across the page. And that'll help to show that that is water. There's a little movement happening there. But when we color that in, I'm just going to put this up a little higher, bring the colored one over. You can see sort of how I reflected. So on my CN tower, I made the lit part here red, and then I reflected that down the middle of my reflection. Same thing, all of these signs, I'm imagining they're lit up, so I put a little bit of that color down into the water as well. So you can go ahead, you can have fun. I will put this picture up again at the end, so if you want to kind of do a freeze frame on your screen, if you want to see how I colored it. But of course you can choose your own colors and do whatever you want with your drawings. So I'm going to pull this one down. And then we're going to get started on our baby elephants, which is this guy right here. He's so cute. All right. So this time your paper is going to be up and down. And we're going to start with our elephant's head. So his head, you can see it is rounded, but it's a little bit almost kind of triangular as well. Very rounded on top. Doesn't have a pointy triangle top. But I'm going to start down at the base here, and I'm going to leave a little opening for his trunk. So I'm going to start right around here, and then I'm going to curve up nice and high. I'm going to make a couple little spikes right at the top for the hair, right up there. And then I'm going to continue down. And again, I'm just leaving that space. It's probably like 2.5 finger widths open for the trunk. So make sure before you move on, you're happy with your shape. Make little changes. If you want to erase anything, you can change that up. All right, and then we're going to add in our elephant's trunk. So for the trunk, it kind of curls at the end. So I'm going to start on the right side, and I'm just going to make this line that's going to curve right where I stopped here, and kind of come up and curl. So it's almost like a really long number 6. And then I want to do the other side. So what we want is we want the top of our trunk to be nice and wide, and it's going to get narrower and skinnier as it gets to the end. So I'm going to start with my line up here, cross where I ended, come down and start to curve up and around. So it's getting a little skinnier as I go, and really skinny right near the end. And then to finish off that trunk, I'm just gonna add a few little wrinkles right in here. So he's a baby elephant, so he doesn't have as many wrinkles as those old elephants do, but we're gonna put a few just on his trunk there, 3 or 4. And then to finish off that face, we're gonna give our elephant his eyes. So I'm gonna just use ovals, and I'm just gonna make one here. So they're kind of low down, just above the trunk. And you could color them in now, or you could color them in later. I'm just gonna quickly shade mine in here. And then 2 little eyebrows. Just tiny little kind of curved eyebrows up there. All right, and really to make this look more like an elephant, we need those big ears added on. So we're gonna do that next. So I'm gonna start with the ear on the right side here. And I'm gonna come up off the side of the head and I'm gonna swoop way up. Come down and then curve back up again. They're really big, and then do the same thing over here on the other side. They don't have to be exactly the same shape, so don't worry about that. Just roughly the same size, that's the important thing. All right, and then inside of those ears, we're gonna make kind of this big pink area that I've got over here. So just the inner ear. So I'm just sort of following the same shape, and then I'm gonna join it up over on the side. Same thing over here. All right, so we have our head finished. So we need to add in the body of our elephant next. So what we want to do is we want to have 2 sort of curved lines coming down and swooping over to the left a little bit. So I'm going to start with this one here, and I'm going to come down out of the head and swoop over. So I've still got some room here at the bottom of the page. And the other side is going to come out of the trunk, but have kind of the same curve, and it's going to be just maybe a little bit longer than this one. So if I were to make a straight line across at the bottom of this line, you can see that this one is a little bit longer, comes down a little further. All right, so we're gonna start creating some legs on our elephant. So right in here, I'm gonna create this front leg. So what I wanna do is create another line, and it's gonna curve kind of the opposite way, but down to the same height here. I wanna make sure it's ending at the same point. And then I'm just gonna finish that bottom off there. Close it in. So that's one leg. And then I'm going to create the other leg right beside that. So right in here is going to look exactly the same, only flipped. So the inside one is going to curve this way. And the outside line is going to curve this way. And then again, we'll just close those off, join them up. And right in between, just a tiny little line to just join off his stomach there. And then we just need to finish off these 2 feet that are coming out from each side. So over here on this side, I'm going to start right beside his body here. I'm going to create a small little oval. That's going to be the bottom of his foot. And then of course we need to attach that to the body. So from the bottom here, I'm just going to create this little curved line right to the bottom of my oval. And then from the top of the foot, top of this oval, I want to create a little curved line, like an eyebrow shape. Doesn't quite touch the other leg yet. And then just a small little line here, kind of curving up towards that front leg. So we've created 3 legs and we have 1 more to fill in over here, which we're going to follow that same process. So I'm going to start with that oval. About the same size as this one here. And then from the bottom of that oval, I'm going to just do this little curved line right over to the other foot here, just to finish off the bottom of that leg. And just like we did over here, I'm just going to create that arch that's going to attach back down to the oval here. So that's kind of the top of his toes. All right, and then just a few little details left to add in here. So our elephant, we're going to give him a little tummy. So just in this area, right in between these front 2 legs, I'm just going to do another arch. This big curved line there. And then we're going to give this baby elephant some toenails. So I put 4 on each foot. But I don't actually know how many toenails elephants have. So it might be 3, maybe 4, maybe it's 5 like us. I don't know. It doesn't really matter though. We're just going to put a few little bumps. So 4 up here on top of that circle. I'm going to fit 4 on top of that little oval there. And then I'm going to try and fit 4. Or 3.5, right in this area here, for each foot, sorry. He's looking cute. All right, so the very last thing that he needs is his little tail over here. So I'm gonna have mine coming out this side, and I'm just gonna do a little squiggly line. 2 little squiggly lines. Right close to each other. And then a few little hairs on the end, so they're just going to kind of come out and curve. So we're pretty well finished. Again, the only thing left to do is fill in our background. You can change yours up. You can do whatever you want in behind this elephant. I am just gonna, so he doesn't look like he's floating, I'm just gonna add some grass at the bottom here. My big old spiky scribbly lines. Maybe you want to add in some flowers down on the ground. There we go. Whatever you want to add, go for it. Color it, of course. I'm going to take this one down and I'm going to leave the two originals up. Amazing. I hope you guys had so much fun drawing today. I can't wait to see your pictures. If you want, you can post those on my Facebook page at Social Art KW. There'll be a post there with a picture of this video and the link to this video, so you can post those pictures right there. Or you can post them on Instagram and you can tag me at Social Art KW as well. And yeah, until next time, keep drawing and we'll see you soon. Bye.